You don't need worldly means and worldly tactics to reach people with the gospel. What you need is the Holy Spirit. I'm seeing too many people resort to using worldly tactics to draw people towards the gospel, thinking that that's an effective method. And then because they see numbers, they think that that is successful. For example, with that church in Atlanta right now, that video of that church where they were literally praising to a very worldly song, and everybody was in the comments thinking like this is crazy. And then just on TikTok in general, like I've come across videos in the past where somebody is posting a very, very worldly song. And by very worldly, I mean a song talking about drugs, a song talking about or alluding to sex, and then posting like scriptures along with that song because that song happens to be trending and they want the video to go viral. In fact, just either today or yesterday, I came across a video like that, and then the girl even said it in her caption that she was using the song because she wanted the video to go viral and she just expected people to ignore the song. You know, the issue with doing that? You might go viral. You might attract the large crowd. Who knows? People even might be saved. But what I found is that people who use that method because they don't think that the gospel and that the Holy Spirit is enough. And they haven't generated enough power through the Holy Spirit to draw that large crowd. So they're trying to tap into the world's power. Just like people who try to create gospel songs by remixing very worldly songs. They haven't learned to tap into the power of the Holy Spirit. So they're trying to tap into another worldly source of power in order to draw people, to get the views, to get viral. When you are in the presence of the Lord and you really have a deep relationship with God, and you allow God to consecrate you as a vessel that He can use, you won't need worldly methods to draw the crowd. All you'll need is the power of the Holy Spirit, and the power of the Holy Spirit will be able to draw the people that the Holy Spirit needs to draw in order to be saved, in order to hear the message. When Jesus called the 12 apostles, those 12 young men, and they were not old men, and many of them were unlearned. The Bible makes it clear that many of the apostles were unlearned men. Some of them were learned, but many of them were unlearned. But when they spoke, when they preached, when they healed the sick, when they cast out demons, they were moving by the power of the Holy Spirit. And it was by the power of the Holy Spirit working in them that the gospel spread to all corners of the earth, because of those 12 men and the power of the Holy Spirit indwelling them and working through them. Stop thinking that just because you've been able to draw a large crowd, that God is pleased, or that what you're doing is successful, because what you're doing might be successful in the eyes of man, but that doesn't mean that it's successful in God's eyes. Beyonce knows how to draw a large crowd. Beyonce can draw millions of people. Is she saved? Is she godly? No, she's a witch. Many worldly demonic people are able to draw large crowds. It's not about the size of the crowd. It's what spirit are you operating under? And is the Holy Spirit really moving in that place, or is it a false and deceptive spirit? So stop looking at these people who have these videos of these large crowds in their churches and thinking that all of these churches are godly. No, not necessarily. No. You determine whether something is successful based on whether God's hand is in it and based on the spirit that it's moving under. Because the Spirit of the Lord is able to draw the masses. If you trust in the Lord, if you trust in the Holy Spirit, okay, and if you trust in the sufficiency of God and God alone and God's methods, because God can give you new methods, new tactics that are not worldly, okay? God can give you innovation such that you don't need to borrow from the world. At the same time, the kingdom of Satan also knows how to draw a large crowd, also knows how to draw many followers. Stop looking at the followers and the likes and thinking that all followers, all likes, all crowds are good. And then another bad thing about this is that when you compromise like this a little bit, okay, and I understand the sentiment because I went on the page of that guy whose church was in Atlanta, and they were drawing that large crowd with that like worldly song, you know. I went on his page and he seems to like have a heart to want to draw the youth, and you know, I understand the concept of being relatable, okay? However, there's a way that you can be relatable while still maintaining godliness and not compromising. When you start to compromise in those little ways, you just compromise further and further and further until many people find themselves completely out of the will of God because they thought, oh, I'll just compromise with this worldly song. Oh, I'll just compromise with this. Oh, it's all for saving souls. Is it really for saving souls, or is it because you want relevance and you want to draw a crowd? Be careful, because it's the little foxes that draw the vine. Just a little bit of leaven spoils the whole batch. You only need a little bit of compromise, a little bit of compromise, a little bit of compromise before you find yourself completely out of the will of God. So stop compromising. The Holy Spirit can do it and can do better if you trust fully in Him. And stop measuring success by numbers all the time, because it might not be truly successful in the eyes of God. Unless you're operating, if you're not operating under the Holy Spirit, if God is not pleased, it is not a success.